Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to my workbench. Continuing on with Syren's Bowsprit here. Since the last time you've seen this, I've gone ahead and glued it together, put the blocks on the front of the cap, and I have the rope around the base here to attach them together. This rope is just wrapped around like 3 times, and then there's a couple of coils that go around the center to tighten it up. And there's touch of glue to hold it in place. The blocks here, following the book, I decided to use their example. Which one is it? This one here, where I put the rope through the eye and the cap of the bowsprit, seize it, and then just glue it around the block to get it in place. Real easy to do and quite effective. But right now, we need to make these hearts that go onto the bowsprit. 2 hearts, 4 closed hearts, 2 open hearts. Cabling rigged around them, and then attached to the bowsprit. Bowsprit. Don't know why you get an R in there. There should be, I would never. You know what I'm talking about. So, what I've come up with though is the get out here real quick. The hearts that come in the kit are just laser cut right here, and they are about the same quality as a fair lead. You remember in the last one I made my own fair lead, just because I did that. So instead of using the hearts that come with the kit, I went ahead online with Syren ship model. I'll put the link in the description, and bought a set of hearts to replace them. These have to be 5.5 millimeter, but I have 7 millimeter replace the ship. And these are really easy to use. They're 3 layers. Before cutting anything out, you glue the 3 layers together in a stack, and you can cut them out and sand them. And when you're done, you end up with a heart that has the groove around the center, rounded edges, and looks a lot better than what you get with the kit. So that's what I'm using. You need, I think, a total of 14 closed hearts and 2 open hearts for the entire ship, if you choose to go that route. So I had gotten 3 sets of the closed, 1 set of the open, in 7 millimeter. Make sure you get the right size, 7 millimeter. And you should end up with a really nice set of hearts. Set that aside. On the plans, they show you what the hearts should look like with their cabling around it. And the way they do the cabling is doubled up, goes around, sees at the base of the heart, and a loop at either end. And that's what I have here for the closed heart, and here for an open heart. So it's doubled up, it's a loop here, seized around, comes up and goes around and comes back down to a loop on the other end. Tie it off here on the open heart. On the closed heart, it's seized right at the base. In making of that, I came up with a jig here. I have 2 nails in, so I can get the cord around and do the loops. I have a 3rd nail over here, and this is for the open heart, closed heart, open heart, and I marked my center lines here and here. That way I can figure out where the center of my heart is, or loop is when I make it. When I'm making these up, I'm going ahead and using some line. This is not the line that came with the kit. This is actually Mantua's 1/2 inch black, or a 1/2 millimeter black line. And to make these up, Sorry, I'm not getting enough light over here. I'll take my line, put it around, make sure I'm coming past my center line here. I can grab the thing and get it over here. And tape it off here. So I can tape it off, pull it tight so you get a nice tight line. I have a piece of wood here that is sole purpose is to just make sure this line stays up a little bit so I can get under it. And to seize it, I'm just using regular thread. Okay, so I'm just using regular thread, cut me off a piece of it. Still in frame, still in frame. Then go under. I'm just going to tie a clove hitch around here, which is very effective at showing a seizing. So you go over or underneath, over the top, to the right side of your initial thread. Then you can go over the top and go under to the left of your initial thread. And then just pull it back through your final loop. And that will actually get you a nice little clove hitch here. You can just pull it tight, and it's tied off now. That loop's not going anywhere. Then just come back through, give it a little depth and give it a couple of half hitches. And that will get me my loop on the end. Don't get your seizing too close to your nail. You don't want the loop too small. Get that off. And then I can just come around, get this out of my way. And then come around with my string around my other nail, come back, tack it back down, and do the same thing on this side. So I can go under everything, over to the right side of my string, under, over to the left of my string with my tail, under, and pull it back through my final loop. And if you're wondering what the clove hitch looks like in the end, they give you or how to tie it, they give you a picture right here, clove hitch. So now with that, I can go ahead and do my 2 half hitches. Under through my loop, under and through my loop. So that will give me a very effective simulation of seizing on the loops. Before taking it off, touch it with a little adhesive to hold your knots in place. And yes, I know, Lines on ships aren't tied, aren't knotted, they're seized. We have those two knots in place. Excuse me. Then you can come through. And I trim my lines right at that center line, which is why it's marked. Clean these up. And there is a line that has a loop on either end. Next thing is that needs to be hooked onto the heart. There's my heart from earlier. And the reason I do the line in the center, cut in the center, is that gives me the center spot to where I know where the fat end goes to the center. Then I can pull these things tight. Get my loops equal. And I can just loops equal again. This is easier this way. Loops equal, so they're the same distance out from the heart. Hold it tight. I don't care about these tails right now. Just come back, touch a little glue there, little glue there, and a little glue over here. And that will hold everything in place for the next step. And grab something to stick it in. And then grab some more of my thread. And I can make a half hitch on the bottom of this. So two loops, so that's just making a loose half hitch right now. Put over and I can start pulling it tight. Or excuse me, not a half hitch, clove hitch. And then on these, you want to get it up at the very base of the heart. Something like that, and then you can come back and do a couple of half hitches on it. I try to put the half hitches above the initial clove hitch so it's closer to the heart. Just to tighten it up a bit more. Like that. Squeeze everything up. Get it back in camera, sorry about that. And you can trim off your tails. Make sure you're cutting what you want because it's easier to cut off what you don't want and then put back what you do want. And with that, the heart's almost done. I still have these tails sticking up for these. I just take them up, lay them in the slot next to the original line going over. A little bit of glue, hold it in place. Same thing on the other side. Lead it up. Touch of glue to hold it in place. And then a little bit of glue up here. And just glue those tails up to the top. If you've got all your measurements right, then the two tails will meet at the top. Mine aren't quite right here, so they're not. That's fine. And the reason I'm putting it at the top is because there's a set of line that goes through here to connect one heart to the other. That will hide it. So you got 4 lines that come this way to connect 2 hearts together. Kind of like that with lines between them. So with that heart is done. Make sure your loop here is big enough to go around your bowsprit, because you're going to tie the ends of the loop together with another knot. For the open heart, same procedure with a longer one, but instead of seizing it so it's closed, you're going to do the same kind of clove hitch around here to tie it to the heart itself. Real easy to do. These obviously longer because these are going to sit above the bowsprit. So I'll go ahead and get my last ones made up, and then we can see about getting them installed onto the bowsprit. Okay, so I have all the hearts made. I have a bunch of them on here, 5 of them on here. Last one I need to do. So, as you recall, we made the 2 loops here. Next step is to tie them closed. It's easier to show on one of the open hearts rather than the closed hearts. The closed heart's going to have the bowsprit in the way. So, I'm just using regular thread for this. And usually what I do is I'll take one end. This has already been done. Dip it in super glue so that's stiff. Feed it through. You're just doing the loops at the bottom that you made previously. If you have problems getting it through the hole, go ahead and use your awl or something to open it back up. Let's see. Go. Feed it through, and you're going to feed it through. I do it 3 times back on itself. So it's 1, 2, and then a 3rd time. If you can just the whole thing through the third time. There it is. So now it's through their third time, 3 times. You can pull it somewhat tight. You're going to make sure there's still a little bit of a gap between your loops down the bottom. And then, with that one pulled over, you're going to basically seize the line in between the 2 loops from the heart. Do that a few times to get to look like it's been seized right there. And that's all there is to that. That gives you a reasonable facsimile of the 2 loops coming down and being seized. And to keep from coming undone, I do a little drop of glue on it. Whichever you feel is best to do on it. Trim it off. And then that one's done. And it can now come up here, and this one's going to go right there for me. And that's the bowsprit. That's the rigging we're doing right now. Next time we have the jibboom to put on here, along with another travel ring, and then we can install it on the ship. With that, we're going to call this video done. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.